I would like to fancy myself a pretty simple man, really, with simple pleasures. Little things bring me immense joy. I like the way a sunrise looks. It still captivates me, even though I've seen thousands of them by now. A good sunset is still really nice. The same thing goes for, like, the whole month of April. Chef's kiss. One thing I've always wanted is a big ol' fucking lumberjack beard. But unfortunately, as my genetics have played out anyway, I am the least hairy man of all time. At the risk of grossing all of you out, I got like no body hair. None. And this is the source, or it has been anyway, of much shame. When I was a kid, I used to really be into professional wrestling, as I think most of the boys in my generation were. Because that shit was fire when we were kids. It just was. It was fire. It was gas, as the kids say. Which is another thing that confuses me. I don't like that term. Gas that's something you expel, bruh. It's not something that's cool. I'm old. What can I say? I'm old. But anyway, my favorite wrestler was a guy named Shawn Michaels. He just had this charisma about him that I've never seen in another wrestler. Maybe Ric Flair. Ric Flair had a similar charisma. Like, he was hot shit, and he fucking knew that he was hot shit. I love that confidence, that bravado, and I wanted it. And foolishly, I think I made a weird connection between him and my father. For one thing, they look very similar. And that might have been why I liked him too. He kind of reminded me of my dad a little bit. My dad is very good at false bravado. And anybody that just knows him, like, on a peripheral level, would probably say that he's almost cocky. But if you get to know him, you quickly discover that he is the most self-conscious human being that's ever lived in the history of time. And that's not an exaggeration. He really is very self-conscious and self-critical. It's part of his charm in a weird way. But anyway, my father has this little tuft of hair on his chest. And he used to wear these shirts that would accentuate it. And he would look in the mirror and he would, do his hair because he has the big 80s hair. And he would literally take that little fluff and make it come out of his shirt. It was like 1970s era sex appeal for him. And as a kid, I remember thinking, I can't wait until I'm fucking hairy. That's going to be dope. And the same thing was with Shawn Michaels. The dude just had this hairy fucking chest that just reeked of fucking machismo. I couldn't wait. My little brother got that little tuft on his chest. I didn't get it. I did not inherit the gene. I don't have raw machismo at all. My charm, if I have any at all, I would dare posit. It comes from that. It's my lack of machismo and the fact that I know that I lack it. I don't know. I've been told that in the past anyway. Maybe I just don't have any charm at all. I don't know. But at the start of this year, I had one goal in mind. I wanted to grow that fucking lumberjack beard because finally, after 35 years, the follicles on my face feel as if they could produce such a beard. So I haven't fucked with it really. I've been trimming up the edges because I have a fear of becoming a neck beard. That's not a good look. I don't want that. This morning, I went to trim it up because it was creeping down the neck a little bit. And it was getting itchy and it looked shitty. So I was going to trim that and trim the mustache. I wasn't fully awake and I forgot to put the guard on. Usually I just keep the guard where it's at. I don't fuck with it. I must have taken it off to clean it and I don't remember doing so. So I went to trim up the stash and whoop, you can't save that. It's gone. So now I look like I'm 16 years old again. Which leads me to the story that I want to tell.
inside.
For clothes that Tristan lost. At Bold 3 Detergent Plus Fabric.
Okay, now that I've wet my whistle artistically, I'm going to tell you about my bully. I went to a really small school. I think my graduating class, I wasn't part of it. I left as soon as I fucking could. But I think it had like less than 20 students in it. It was a very small class. Every year it dwindled. Like my kindergarten class had like 30-some students, but by the time high school reached its natural conclusion, it was below 20 students. So there wasn't a whole lot of bullying going on. Most of the kids in my school were nerdy. Like the nerdy kids were popular. It was a strange place to go to school. I didn't fit in with them either. Like at school lunch, there were 3 tables. There was the popular kids, there was the nerdy kids, and then there was me. And for a while, the girl that I was dating in high school, she sat with me at lunch. I didn't really have any inclination to fit in with these kids. I didn't really like them. But they didn't pick on me until that girl that I just mentioned happened to write me a note. And in the note, she, you know, when you're a kid, kids have little pet names for one another. And I called her Sweet Cheeks. She had a nice butt, I guess. For some reason, she called me Pooh Bear. Perhaps because I was quite rotund at that time in my life. I don't know why she called me Pooh Bear, but she did. And she wrote me like this little lovey-dovey note. Dear Pooh Bear, blah, 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 whatever. But she dropped the note before it got to me. And this kid in the grade above me picked it up. I don't know how, now that I look back on it, I've never thought about this, but I don't know how he knew that note was to me. She just called me Pooh Bear throughout the whole fucking thing. I've never thought about that. How the hell did he know that? That kid made my life fucking hell. The only class that I had that I enjoyed in high school was my literature class. Not only because I love words and language, but because my teacher, Mrs. Dione, took an active interest in my writing. She would make group projects and center them around things that I did. For instance, once we read the story called The Interlopers, and we all had to break up into groups and make our own rendition of The Interlopers. And one of the things you could do was make a movie. And that was something that I did with my friends. We made movies. The only reason that was on that list was because she was catering to something that I had an obvious passion for. That's the mark of a good teacher. I still, to this day, I love that woman. Like, we're friends on Facebook, and I still get giddy when she likes one of my posts or something. But anyway, that kid ruined English class for me because he sat right behind me, and he would take his pencil and tap the back of my neck with it and be like, hey, Pooh Bear, what's the answer for 1C? Pooh Bear. And I just wanted to reach up and fucking slap him in the face, man. Like, even thinking about it now, my blood boils. He to this day, I think that kid deserves to be smacked in the fucking mouth. But I was meek. I was quiet. I was reserved. I just wanted the kid to leave me alone. I didn't want to fight him. Not to mention, all of his friends were in that fucking class, and they would have loved a reason to beat the shit out of me. This is like an aside, but the guy that girl dated before me was one of the most popular kids in school. When she left him to be with me, I warned her, like, girl, your friends are going to ditch you. You're going to get shit for dating me. I didn't know how true that was going to be, but it ended up being very true. The kid was on the football team. He was on every fucking sports team in the school. And he was heartbroken that his girlfriend left him for someone of my caliber. It really fucking hurt his ego. So the whole football team kind of wanted to beat my ass anyway. So I just tried to navigate that the best that I could. You know what I'm saying? You know, like, just get through school, don't start shit. Eventually he'll get bored with this, but the motherfucker never got bored of it. Just, hey, Pooh Bear, Pooh Bear. Like, if you call me Pooh Bear one more fucking time, I'm not gonna do anything, but I'm gonna fucking picture that I'm doing something. I'm gonna picture it. I never stood up for myself with that kid. I should have. Maybe it was my lack of chest hair. I didn't have the machismo to back me up. I didn't have the bravado, false or otherwise. However, I don't believe in like karma, things like that. I think you can be a shitty human being forever. And oftentimes the shittiest of us all end up in the most prestigious positions possible. However, sometimes the universe can kind of throw you a bone a little bit. And years later, well after high school, that kid that poked me with the pencil and called me Pooh Bear relentlessly made me hate the pet name that the girl that I so loved gave to me. Ruined it for me. That guy got a DUI on horseback, riding through town with methamphetamine on his person. I like to believe that the meth was on the horse, like on the saddle or something. But oh man, there's a part of me that wishes I could go back and talk to that young version of myself and be like, listen, kid. And he would interrupt me and he'd be like, dude, at what age does the chest hair come in? And I'd have to disappoint him. It just doesn't happen for you, bro. I'm sorry. But you know what does happen? You see that? You know that kid that pokes you in the neck with his fucking pencil and you want to stab him in the face with it? That guy. So do me a favor, dude. Don't drop out of high school because of this shit. Don't let this get to you to the point where you can't handle these motherfuckers anymore. Because there will come a day where you are making a YouTube video and reminiscing about this shit and it's just gonna make you laugh. You're gonna be completely detached from it. But knowing myself, all of that probably would have went in one ear and out the other, and I would have just been sitting there being like, so I'm never gonna do sweet chin music on somebody? I'm never gonna get that little tuft? That's whack, dude.